what we've done is we have created QR codes for the two workshops that I'm doing today, canvassing and let's get out the vote. And so take your phones out. I misplaced my phone, which is good. But take your phone out and click on the camera like you're going to, remember when we were going to restaurants, now they don't have printed menus anymore. But it took us a while to learn that, but it's very useful. So click on the QR code that says canvassing. It's the one on the left on this sheet. If you double click on that icon, it'll open up the PDF for my entire presentation. But I don't want you looking at that the whole time. I want you to be able to take notes so you can take your notes on this sheet of paper. And when you get home, if you want, you can print out the entire presentation. Do you have any questions about that?
Thank you.
You bet. Absolutely. So I hope you can come to the next one. I'm also here representing Parents' Rights in Education. If you need more information about that, I have brochures describing more of our issues. These were at your places, at your tables as you walked in, but I have more detailed information if you want. You can always visit our booth also. So on that information that you can access with your phone, there's also my bio. So I'm not going to spend too much time talking about myself, but I have been a candidate, let's see, 3 times for public office. The first was a contested primary for the House of Representatives. So I canvassed and campaigned in. Then I had a general election. That was for House District 35, which is primarily Tiger. I was running my own business, actually 3 different businesses at one time. And so I was a busy woman. But the part that I loved most was canvassing my neighborhoods. Canvassing the entire portion. I was in the Senate district and a House district. First a House district, and then I ran for Senate. So that can be a lot of fun, and you want to keep that in mind because you're literally fishing. You're going door to door. What's interesting is that everything we do in life, and the business that I owned was primarily sales. I was an art consultant and then also did interior design. So it seems like we're always selling something. Maybe we're trying to sell our kids on, how to mine and succeed in school. Or maybe we're trying to sell somebody on, the latest, the newest car that we bought and why it's so great. But we're all selling people on something. Maybe it's an idea. Maybe it's a public policy and why we think it's a good one or not so good. This is no different. And I was just in Kathy McDonald's class, and she's talking about fundraising. And same thing, sales process.
Are you having problems with your presentation?
I'm not doing a program.
Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. So, what is canvassing? Canvassing is a systematic initiation of direct contact with individuals. It's a conversation. It's a conversation. And we're the ones initiating the conversation. So is it about them or is it about me? It's about them, really. It's always about them. You're going to get to yourself eventually, but initially it's always about them. And Kathy talked about that. When you're approaching a donor, you need to know more about them. It's really about what they're looking for, what they're interested in, not so much about what I think. It is the core element that political campaigns call the field or the ground game. Now, when I started my art business, I knew that I needed residential customers. my service. And I went door to door. How else am I going to meet these people? And that's how I started my business. And then if they liked me, then they would refer me to other people. It's the same process. It's always about them. Okay. A 3 to 10-minute interaction between volunteers and voters increases the chances of persuasion dramatically.
It's hard as heck to stay in that 10 minutes if they get talking.
Yeah, okay, well, you can't let that happen though.
That's right.
Okay, now studies have proven that direct outreach to be the most impactful strategy for winning elections and impacting public policy. And I like to focus on that part, impacting public policy. So let's take a poll of our group here today. How many of you are candidates or you're working for a candidate? 1, 2, okay, awesome. How many of you are working within a political party and you're kind of more, the ground game and it's more generalized? Okay, oh great, fabulous, good thing you're here today. Okay, awesome. How many of you are representing an organization? Okay, awesome, okay, great. And so you might have a particular issue if you're representing an organization like I am now doing. And so you need to contact people personally. Even though you're sending out emails, you're providing them information, you're doing all kinds of other things. I run a national organization. And when people inquire with us about becoming an affiliate of our organization, we're looking for affiliates in every single school district across the country. That's a lot of people. And it's really, really important to keep that relationship personal. I'm not going to spend hours and hours on the phone with every single individual, but I want to make sure that I've contacted them at least once to answer all their questions about becoming an affiliate. They need to know this is relationship building, guys. People don't care what you know unless they know that you care. How many any of you have been in sales before? Yeah, so you get it.
You gotta be able to relate to people.
Yes, they don't, they really care though when it comes to public policy and how is that going to impact me personally? Why is this important to me? So how do you find that out? Ask them. Are you involved, in politics at all? What is your most, your biggest concern when it comes to what's happening in your community? Get at their concern, because that's the question that they want answered. Let's get back to the concept of canvassing. So the purposes of canvassing are oftentimes for political campaigns. That's what we see the most because there's a deadline, right? There's a deadline, there's a voting day. But you can also canvass to just create political awareness. Maybe you're trying to build your political organization and you want people to know that you're having a meeting in 2 weeks and you really want to invite people to attend and check out what you're doing. You're giving them an invitation. Maybe you want to make them aware of a particular issue that's taking place in your community, something that they might not know about. Just provide them information. Be offering information. You're offering information. You're not beating them over the head with a hammer. Okay, next. Also, a membership drive, which is sort of the same thing. Membership drive, come to our meeting. Oh, we've got a great speaker, you might be interested. We should be canvassing you guys all year long, especially in Oregon, because people don't understand what's going on. You get that idea? And why don't they? Because the media, it's fake media. The general media, if you just watch local news, you're really not going to know what's going on.
Some people are just giving up.
And some are giving up. And that's the other reason why it's good to get out there, even if you know that I ran for Senate and I knew I wouldn't win. I was running against Ginny Burdick. That was 2012. Had so much fun, had so many volunteers. We were knocking on doors all the time. We put up signs in Democrat yards, a lot of Democrats. Because we were knocking on the door, making contact, talking about the issues. I mean, they care about money. I mean, everybody cares about money, right? And they say, if you do something about PERS, you got my vote. And I'd look around and say, okay, well, I don't have a sign on your street. Would you take a sign? Sure. Okay, I just need to get your other information. How about following the campaign? I always had a clipboard. And I had all those columns, email. Well, I had their address. Well, they didn't know I actually had a walking list, but had their addresses and everything. And then I'd say, okay, great. And then afterward, I followed up with a thank you in the mail. And then I would include contribution envelope. So we're not to use canvassing for fundraising. In other words, asking for money, because that's what makes it solicitation. I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. You see, there are rules. We're going to talk about the rules. So we want to identify our supporters, right, as we're going through. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your list and you're identifying who's supporting you, right? Yeah, Tina.
So recognizing you're not allowed to ask for financial resources, but if somebody were to say, oh my gosh, I love your platform, I love what you stand for, I'm going to vote for you, can I donate to you? And they offer, are you allowed to
There's a
give
website.
them the information?
Oh, absolutely. So we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about leaving information.
Okay.
Yeah. So you want to make sure
But if
that
they offer it, then that's different than you
right.
solicit.
But you're not there asking for money.
Perfect, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I just
It's
wanted
just
to
a
be clear.
little glitch, because, and sometimes there are people at the door who try to trap you, and I've
Sure.
had that happen.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I was misquoted, and it was all over the place.
Yeah, no, thank you for
Yeah,
clarifying.
yeah. Okay, so we want to identify supporters. So again, this is personal. You're out there gathering information, and maybe somebody's helping you. So if you're a candidate, you want to have a lot of people out there walking with you. So you want to identify who's friendly, who's not friendly, for example. And you might not know that by your list, by your walking list. We want to persuade the undecided. We're probably not going to persuade those who are way opposite us. But if they're undecided, they're open at least a little bit, usually. We also want to encourage voter registration. Oh, I never vote, I haven't voted. I mean, how many of you know people who the first year they voted was 2020? I do, 2020. When they figured out what was going on, they started hearing things and, oh my gosh. I mean, I have adult friends who never voted until 2020. Imagine. Now, that's not the way I was raised, I just voted. But a lot of people don't see that, and there are people who are discouraged. Okay, we need to encourage people that's why we run in districts, even if the registration is not in our favor, which is 2012, I knew I couldn't win. But there are people in that district who needed to see someone who was representing them. Okay? And maybe that's not the year. It's all about timing. Maybe that's not the year we're going to win, but this is marketing, you guys. We could win maybe the next year if we're informing them. One thing cool about a candidate is that you have a platform. You have that platform, and you get invited to speak about the issues. But there is a deadline. So I want to encourage you, go beyond that deadline. Canvass those areas. Build your organization. We need more bodies. We have a low body count, guys.
Yes.
Okay, now, solicitation and political campaigning. This is really important that you know this about the law. They're not the same. So canvassing is different by law. The First Amendment protects non-commercial speech. Now, this is all on the notes, so if you just download that piece, you'll see it. This includes that does more than inform private economic decisions. So this is all what the law says, provided information about the characteristics and cost of goods and services. So by law, political speech is part of non-commercial speech. So we have the right to solicit that, to knock on the door and say hello and talk about those things. Political canvassers are legally permitted to knock on doors and to interact with voters and to distribute literature, Tina. So like you always want to have a leave behind that's going to give your contact information, your website, just bullet points, really simple. If you hold it out here and the font looks really small, you got too much on there. Just bullet dot, boom, boom, boom. Okay, they can dig for more, but what you want them to do is go to your website and say, gee, would you like to follow the campaign? Just sign up for our newsletter, we'll let you know what's happening. Okay, they're following us. They're not, you're not committing them to regular contributions or anything. Don't put pressure on anyone. I mean, I don't know, I don't like that, do you? Nobody wants that. We want to make the decision ourselves. Okay.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is in your
Okay.
Is there something gonna be on availability and where best to get our voter lists? I know the state offers that to candidates for X amount of dollars. Republican Party now has access to their database for $250. But when you only need a county or a couple counties.
Yeah. So, I touch on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Did you get that sheet? So if you do, this QR code is what she's talking about now. The handout sheets are there, and this is get out those. So if you download those.
right, so you can download all my notes.
Download
Did
her-
you
her
get this sheet?
presentation notes.
Any of you come in late?
Okay. Yes, thank you.
So that's for taking notes that aren't on the QR code, so you can look at it on your phone and download it later and print it. Okay, so you do not need a solicitor's permit. So you'll come to the door and people say, well, no soliciting. No soliciting. Well, you're not soliciting. You're just knocking on the door and leaving information. Okay, field canvassers are legally allowed to be on private property and knock on doors. And this includes homes or neighborhoods that have no soliciting signs. Thank you so much. But you gotta weigh this because you don't wanna tick anybody off, really. I mean, I've had people throw things at me. Right out on their porch, I'm like, take that back. It can get contentious at times. Nobody's ever hit me.
Can I share what I said?
No, the whole lot. I want to get through this, yeah. So, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that municipalities cannot restrict canvassing. This is Supreme Court, okay? But we don't want to get in an arm wrestling match with people at the door about, well, the Supreme Court said. No, we don't want to do that. Okay, but we can legally, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on all 7 days of the week. I mean, that's pretty amazing. But don't go after dark. I mean, I've had people literally stand at the door like with their bathrobe on. Suzanne, it's kind of late. But I just don't want to quit. Okay, and this is it can be fun. So we'll talk about that in a second. Okay, and canvassers have a right to offer campaign literature to residents, even in gated communities with HOAs. Now again, we don't want to make people mad at us. So,
What about apartment houses that have, doors that you have to get through to get to the?
well, see, if they have locked doors and stuff, that's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is illegal to put literature in, like you'll see some in rural areas in particular. Maybe there's nobody takes a newspaper anymore, but we used to stick stuff, in,
Newspaper box.
where the Oregonian went, put your stuff in. Somebody can drive and then you can put it in. It really varies from situation to situation, so it depends on your neighborhood. I know I live in Tigard, so we have, retirement communities, and they have strict rules. In fact, one woman, she was precious. She said, I want So what we did was we just sent a mailing to everyone in Summerfield with the information. So there are other ways around that. Okay, we don't get into trouble for things we don't say. I just heard that in Kathy McDonald's presentation where sometimes, you don't just, if you just shut up and let people talk, it's unbelievable what they'll tell you. But we don't want to be the ones who are doing the blabbing, right? Okay, we want to be the ones asking the questions. And that's how you find out where other people's interests are and what's important to them. Let's see. Just a second. Alrighty, so here are some just practical tips for success. Be prepared. Check the weather. Dress appropriately. Bring a backpack with water, etc. I mean, plan to be out for a while, bottom line. Make sure you have comfortable shoes. If possible, wear a button or a badge or lanyard. A lanyard that says, like, this is who I am. It's official. I stand back from the door. Knock on the door, step back. So the person can see you, I'm not trying to be, like in your face. I was always concerned when little kids would open the door, I think. And sometimes I tell the parent, gee, I really don't encourage you to allow your children to open the door. I don't know who's going to do it. And they were kind of shocked by that. I said, this day and age. That tells them that you're concerned about their children. Let's see, what else? Oh, have a charged cell phone. Have your cell phone with you. Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen. Know your neighbors. Get a walking list of the voters and addresses. Okay, so that's to your question, Paul. And you can get them from a variety of sources. I think your local county party is a good resource. Other candidates who have run before, they know how to access that information. It's never going to always be updated all the time. So you're going to need some helpers. And in any canvassing effort, period, don't do it alone. Don't go out alone. Go with someone else. It's more fun, and you get competitive. Like who can get to the end of the street the quickest. That's the accountability that we need to not stay at the door too long. And we want to listen to them, but we've got a time limit. And it's always about their time, not ours. Don't say, I gotta get to all the doors. Don't ever say that. Just say, well, I really respect your time. Just take a second and introduce myself. And do you have any questions? Are you involved in politics at all? What a gorgeous neighborhood you live in. Let them talk. So use that walking list and update it, and that's gold. That your list is gold. Whether you're fundraising or canvassing, it's all about the list. I have in my phone over, almost 7,000 contacts. It's amazing how many people I've met. Over the years, you have to understand, I've run like 3 political campaigns. I was chairman of the party, had a business. I know a lot of people. I don't talk to them every day, of course, but you never know when you're going to see that person again, and it's surprising how much information you have. Let's see. Okay, I said never canvass door to door alone. It's much more fun. Have your pitch ready. And the fewer words, the better. Because again, it's about them. Ask them questions. So your organizer may have a script for you. Maybe you're a volunteer. So if they don't have a script, plan it in advance. Practice it a little bit. Just have bullet dots in your mind. Okay, first I'm going to say this. Okay, first thing. What would that be? First thing. Introduce yourself. Yep. This is who I am. And that's why it's good to wear something identifying, or if you have information, you can hand it to them. Do you mind? And ask permission. Always ask permission. Don't shove something in their face. Say, I'd like to leave something with you. Are you really interested, we don't wanna waste your material, but, you know, ask permission. Be cordial. Okay, talk about who you represent. If they want to, if it's an organization, say, have you heard of us? Usually they haven't. Just say something brief about your purpose. You know, we protect, in our case, we're advocating for parents' rights in the education system. In any case, adapt the script in your own words. That's the most important thing. Make it comfortable. After you've gone, you know, through one day of canvassing, you'll have it down. It's not complicated. Very simple. I use a clipboard with my walking list and my extra columns for comments. Drop a sign off to this person. You know, so I have that. You know, if I don't have their email address on my list, you know, I want to make sure I get all their personal information. I ask them for it and with permission. Now, I had a funny experience in 2012. How's our time? Do I have a timekeeper?
It's 12 straight up.
What was it, 12? Do we have 15 minutes?
I think you probably might.
Oh, they're done?
We were a little late starting, so I think you still have.
Okay, hold on.
at least
Let's
15.
get through this. Okay, use the sidewalks, keep conversations short, yard signs. Okay, this, I've pretty much covered it. So I'm gonna tell you this story. So, we're in Judy Burdick's district. And, I had another individual working with me. We always delivered, yard signs after, we canvassed the area. And so then we had our list of where we were gonna deliver the signs. So this one day, I saw an Obama sign in their window, house. And I thought, I'm gonna go to every door. So I knocked on that door. I thought, this ought to be fun. I don't know who I'm gonna see. Maybe they'll throw something at me, whatever. And so, an older man, was their son, answered the door and he said, well, I'm gonna get my mom. So she came to the door. They were the owner of the home. And we talked a little bit, and I told her that I had a small business and all this and that. And so she was so excited about me and my candidacy. And so I thought, well, hey, she's excited. I got my clipboard. Do you mind? Would you take a sign in your neighborhood? I mean, I just had fun. Yes. Oh, sure. So I wrote down the email address and all that. Okay, we came back and delivered the sign. You know what she said to me as I was leaving? She said, between you and Suzanne Bonamici, we got it made.
Oh boy.
Oh boy! So, how long did my sign stay in your yard? I don't know. But I mean, that just shows you people are they're clueless, you guys. They really don't get it. Suzanne Bonamici was talking about small businesses. But you know, we're there to provide them information about us, to make that connection with them, and to provide them with that information, and leave them with this feeling like, I really like that person. I like it. And if they don't know the difference, I don't know if she voted for me or not. I don't know if the sign came down. But the point is, another guy, he had a smoking cap on. This was like almost summertime. This is in, you know, Southwest Portland. Like June. And I just shut up and let him talk. And he was saying, well, you know, what party are you? And, oh, well, I'm liberal. Okay. Well, do you have any issues that you're concerned about? You know, don't worry about these terms. You know, what about the issues? Yeah, well, then he went on and on and on. He said, well, I do know a lot of people though actually who live in, you know, Europe, and I visited them, and they have guaranteed, you know, a whole month vacation paid by the government. And I said, He said, but you know, I have to admit, so I just shut up and let him talk. After a while, he goes, but I have to say, the people there have no ambition.
Right.
Confession.
Yeah.
See, because everything is paid for, the government provides them everything, and they don't have much that guy? Well, I left him the information, you know. You wanna move on.
I just wondered if you responded to that, if you helped tie that.
Oh, yeah, a little bit, but you don't wanna get too caught up in it, because you can't, and now, here's another story. I went to a door, this was in Tigard. You can read your homeowner by what they have, the things they have around their front door. You know, little tchotchkes and, you know, home sweet home and, you know, praise God and things like that. Or, you know, it just depends. You can kind of get a feel like, oh, this is where I am. But I went to this door and I thought, probably not a supporter, but I know I'm not gonna do it anyway.
You know,
And she asked me, what is your, you know, who's your opponent? And so I was honest and I told her who it was. Her face changed. It was like Jekyll and Hyde. She was so excited to see me because she's a woman, I'm a woman, you know, and I thought, oh yeah, this is one of those, I'll always vote for a woman. See, I don't believe that. It's all, for me, it's all about the, you know, big thinking. And within, I would say, a week, a huge hit piece came out against me. It was this big,
against you.
this
Did you
long, folded, full bleed, you know, attacking me. And she had written a personal quote saying that I came to the door and she didn't know who had come to my door, and that I was attacking, you know, her candidate, basically. It was a lie, total lie. Sometimes if you're a candidate, people detain you at the door too long. Maybe they're trying to trap you. Maybe they're recording you. I mean, they do sneaky things, you guys. So you just need to be aware and be smart and know when it's time to fold them.
Ring cameras, everything.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to record stuff. Everybody
Be
wants to.
careful,
Yeah.
because they're devious.
We
Super-
tell our people that if there's a ring camera, do not say anything until you're beyond the house in a way.
And when
because
you're leaving.
Yeah, because it can pick you up if you're walking down the driveway, it can pick you up.
That's
and
true.
then they have ammunition to use against
And
you.
by the way, that's good advice when you're meeting with people one-on-one. I mean, for any reason. You know, you turn to go and you're with a friend and you wanna go, oh my gosh, can you believe her new hairstyle? Or, you know, just never have those conversations
Just a comment.
until you're completely out of view or you're in your car driving away.
Comment on campaign signs. Some homeowner associations do not allow them on the yards of.
Oh yeah, that was my story about the woman who she had to take hers down.
Yeah, but a friend of mine learned how to overcome that.
Oh, really? How?
Put it in the window.
Yeah.
Put it in the window.
It's inside your house, it's not on.
Sure. Good idea. Great idea.
Another thing, I'm the PCP chair in Deschutes County, and one of the things we're gonna be doing is, we're gonna be going through our PCP training. Okay, because we have to recruit some more PCPs, we gotta get new people on board, so we're gonna be, you know, kind of reiterating everything that we've done in the last year. One of the things we say is, especially when you're in rural areas where there's a lot of separation between one home, it's not like a little street where you got 20 homes in,
Yeah.
in 150 yards. Two people, all the time.
Two people.
Two people at the door, not just one, because then you have somebody as a witness to what you've said, because you could get accused of something like this.
Yeah.
The other thing we're gonna be doing
Good point.
is role-playing these conversations, because we need to get these people, even our own PCPs aren't fully up to speed on issues, on candidates.
Yeah.
And that is the most important thing that they need to be knowing, is what are the issues, who are the candidates, either the candidate you're supporting or the candidates that are opposing your candidate. You need to know everything about them. You need to understand the ballot measures, okay? To be able to explain to somebody, you know, we'd like you to sign this petition, you know, what's it all about? And, you know, at the Frontier Days in Pine last summer, I had to school choice, and the funding stays with the student. And it's like, nobody could understand that.
Well, so one thing that's really important, especially when you're, well, both for issues and candidates, when you're a volunteer, if you are the candidate, if you are the actual candidate, do I have two candidates in the room? Okay, if you're the candidate, then you can talk about, more in depth about your views. But if you're representing the candidate, I think it's best to leave information behind with all of the contact information for that candidate. Don't try to speak for the candidate on, in detail. First of all, you can get really, again, sucked in at the door and going down a rabbit hole and you don't want to misrepresent. So like if Paul's got a volunteer and he says, well, Paul thinks this and Paul thinks that, it's best to defer to the candidate. Oftentimes, if you are canvassing with the candidate, then you can say, oh my gosh, Tina's just across the street. In just a second, she's going to be down there. Would you like me to have her come and say hello? That's the best way. But it isn't always convenient if you're in a rural area. So again, you have to think about that. But if they want more material about a variety of issues, leave them with the information. Don't get stuck at that door too long because you've got work to do. Yes.
We're in sales. How do we
Yes.
get more PCPs? Because we don't have enough. And
Oh.
I need help. I can't do my whole district by myself. I'm the only PCP in my neighborhood.
Okay.
And it's really important that we get more people helping us because
Okay.
I struggle.
Okay, so, well, always when I was building my business, I would go to a variety of networking opportunities. I would join groups and things like that. So even when you're out on the trail, you're knocking on doors, there are going to be people you connect with. And you go, oh my gosh, we need help. Would you have one day a week or, one day a month? I mean, do you know anybody who's excited about this? It's always better to ask about if they know someone. And they go, well, what about me? So,
I don't have a lot of people volunteer that way.
well, it's all about building relationships, you guys. It's like, how do we build our tribe? That's what you're asking. How do we get more people excited? How are we going to get them on our team? You need to let them know that you're having fun. I gotta wrap up. Oh, he's giving me the hook. Oh my gosh! Invite them to the next event. Say, hey, next weekend we're going to be camping. I'd love to have you join us. If you'd like to meet for coffee, I can explain more. Don't stay at the door, trying to recruit them necessarily, but say, and if you have a card, a personal card, leave that. Say, I'd love to have you contact me about this. Let's talk because we have a blast. Let them know that this is not hard. You have to be able to walk. That's about it. And open your mouth. Breathe. Okay, thank you guys so much. I appreciate all that you're doing. Good luck to you. Have fun.
John Day. But I'm also with BREAKOUT.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Yes.
Yes. Well, and I think that it's finding, those folks that are willing to spend, 3 or 4 hours to go out with you. And I mean, obviously, our is going to be, probably as far as helping to get people, just 'cause it's hard. I mean, unfortunately, my network is all people that are at a working level, and they have, they own businesses, and they have kids.
Just see if
So
you
their
can find
time
people
is
on the
so much
trail.
more limited.
And then also, before you all go out, so let's say it's a set for you have 3:30.
Yeah.
As a candidate, you meet with them ahead of time. And then get them fired up, talk about the issues, just bullet point, listen, and coach them through. So be prepared, you've got, have a bag for them.
Exactly.
So there's those
We've
really
got the
cheap
whole-
bags, you have to
we've
put
got
all that marketing
things,
stuff.
right?
Yeah.
Benefits ready, and I know Greg's gonna be instrumental in helping me to get it done, so I'm not insecure about that point of it, but see what I'm saying? And so, but to the point of just having another person there to support the conversation or say, hey, we got
another
another
person
person
like
like
at the door.
safety. Yeah,
Yeah,
it
what
makes
you
sense.
can do is like have them like do the first 3 houses.
Yes.
And then they can